Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Sunday, the 17th of August, 2025. Starting with the synoptic picture, looking at yesterday's to begin with, that high pressure was very much the dominant feature, and we had no real issues with this cold front here. What we did see was that sort of 1,000 foot based cloud that just remained solid for almost all of the day. There was no sign of it shifting. We eventually got a little bit of a clearance into the sort of mid to late afternoon, but it remained fairly cloudy even with that. So definitely not the day that was forecast yesterday. Today's starting off slightly more optimistic in that it is blue to begin with. We get to lunchtime today, you can see there's very little change in that general picture with high pressure and an easterly flow still being the predominant uh, feature of this weather system. So we can expect hot and blue conditions throughout. Unlikely to have any cumulus, but there is a possibility later on in some parts of the country. Outlook for the next few days remaining fairly similar. Monday, possibly slightly cloudy start, and a trough coming up from the south into Tuesday daytime. But that low out into the Atlantic there, that's by Tuesday lunchtime, is not really close to causing us any issues, certainly well into late next week. So we should continue this run of nice August weather. Sat pick today, see cloud out on the coasts and a bit of upper stuff to the southwest. But in our area, there's nothing to affect us. There's some very, very thin cloud there over the channel and the coast, but nothing that's going to be persistent. As you can expect, having looked at that sat pick, nothing on the radar of concern for us there. And on the Met Office rain prediction, just run that through if it will. See a little bit of precipitation out to the east over the North Sea, but nothing in mainland UK, certainly the southern part, until later this evening, where some of those very light showers might hit the east coast. So we've got no TAF at this time from Odium being a Sunday, but the Met are observed at 20 past 7 local time this morning. There's a 050 at 5 knots, visibility greater than 10 kilometers with no clouds detected, a temperature of 12 and a dew point of 11. Farnborough, unlikely to, oh, we do have the TAF now. So they're giving us for today 070 to 7 knots, cabin okay. So really not a great deal to discuss there. The spot winds, just have a look at the Met Office 214 to the south of us, easterly at 25 knots again, fair bit of wind in the channel, but to the north of us a little bit more southerly to that 100 and 110 around 15 knots. So we can expect something around that mark. Wind on the ground, a hint of north in that, northeasterly flow, generally easterly across the airfield. And with that, we'll be operating 09 all day. And speeds of around 9 to 10 knots, gusting up towards 20 later in the day. So fairly similar to yesterday, possibly slightly less northerly component than we saw. Visibility, pretty fairly poor to begin with, looking at that and improving into the afternoon and early evening. And the moderate humidity reducing as the day goes on. Very high UV, so do take all the relevant precautions, especially if you're out on the airfield all day. GFS temperature-wise showing is between 24 and 25 degrees in the warmest part of the day, and a dew point of around 7. So the webcam looking to the west towards 2XL there on the south side. You can see on the windsock on the left-hand side of the screen, there's an element of that northeasterly breeze there already, and no significant weather or cloud is visible to us there. Temperature now, we're up to 14.3 with a dew point of 11.1. Sky sight, so there's the potential flight distance for today to start reasonably good conditions in places, albeit blue, but certainly not as good as some days we have had recently. We have a look at the point forecast for Lasham. You can see predicting really not brilliant uh, heights, certainly throughout today in terms of soarable height. Plenty of thermals throughout from sort of mid to late morning, 3.5 to 4 knot strengths all throughout today, with climbs topping out initially about 2,500 feet and potentially getting up towards 3.5 above Lasham later into the afternoon. So a bit of a struggle in places today for going somewhere, but I'm sure some will manage. The thermal top winds looking a little bit sort of east southeasterly, around 15 to 20 knots. So more or less in agreement with what the 215 was, correction, the 214 was saying. Top Metier looking at, I think we're quite content it's going to be fairly blue today. So looking at their thermal predictions from 9 o'clock local, they're showing already in our area, sort of fairly weak thermal up to around 600 meters. By sort of mid-morning, we can expect around 3,000 feet there or thereabouts, with 1,000 meters there. And that's peaking around 1,200 meters. So again, not an amazing day, between 3.5, maybe even 4,000 feet to the north of us, and remaining fairly blue. There's a bit of cloud on the coasts, but nothing inland. And thermals deteriorating by about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and should no longer be soarable by around 7:30. No times today, nothing particularly significant to discuss. We have the usual Delta 132 to the east of us. Next to that is a parachute exercise at Farnborough, and that's in the morning. Up at 26 to the north, there's West Ilsley, where they're winch launching paragliders to 1,900 feet. And at 32, a little bit further north of that, just next to the left of Western on the Green there on the chart, they will be parachute dropping from surface to 7,900 feet. And that's valid between 1410 and 1440 Zulu. At 28 over in the west, sort of disguised a little bit just next to 27 there. That's the temporary danger area in the 7 for drone testing. That's up to 1,400 feet. And to the east of that, at number 29, is the Aston Down competitions, the regionals and the junior nationals. So if you're heading in that direction, it is liable to be very busy. Move on now to the local element of the brief. In glider allocations today, we've got two K21s for booked instruction, a K21 that's on the casual list, and plenty of single-seater availability. At the moment, there's two on the casual list, so if there's an instructor around to help, that would be much appreciated. And the simulator is available as normal. Reminder again about the Aboyne expedition, still spaces on week 3 and maybe 1 or 2 on week 2. So get your name down and we'll have a good season. Things report today with regards to movements at this time, and in summary, high pressure remaining the dominant mass, bringing hot and blue conditions, moderate easterly flow across the airfield. We're operating runway 09 today with cables on the south side grass, and if there happens to be a grid, which I'm not convinced there will be, that would be in the usual place, 09 north grass. Please be ready when the cable log tag arrives, and as always, do not land or taxi across the disused runways as shown in red. There's our airfield setup, winching from the south grass, air towing on the hard, and grid if required to the north in the corner there. That's all from me this morning. We'll see you out there. Have a good day and keep it safe. Thank you.